So this past week, we had an issue with like some of the football signups. We did open it up for the entire month of July, but we found that we hit our quota last week, or first this week. And so there was about 10 kids that were needing helmets and jerseys, and I think the rec park is trying to work with them on securing that equipment if they made the deadline on sign-ups, which we ended on Monday. So we had to go ahead and end them because we were already in capacity. But they were trying to work with the people that actually got signed up. So if you get calls, you know, we are trying to be responsive as possible, but with the supply chain issues, you almost have to order a helmet. I was telling Kevin, you have to order a helmet like last fall to get it for this fall. I mean, almost a year out. And so we're working with them. As long as they've got correct equipment, new equipment that's insured, that's been certified, licensed, then I don't think there'll be a problem with them getting it.
So all of the time where you was open for signups, they knew the end date and end time.
They did, but we reached a quota so quick that we had to just cut it off because we couldn't keep adding kids with knowing we don't have an equipment for them, and we wouldn't be getting them. So I think there was 115 kids signed up.
At which point, and what day, I guess, did you reach the max?
This past Monday, so 4 days ago.
Okay, good, thank you.
Okay. So 2 projects we have going where we're getting ready to embark on, and I've got some quotes back. I just wanted to kind of talk about those a little bit. So the survey did get completed at the event park. We're working with the attorney to get that land switch over where we can get that upper half, and we're switching out for the lower half with the Cogginses. So once that happens, I went ahead and got a quote for the parking lot and the new 2-lane road all the way down to the highway. We're going to reconfigure all of that all the way to the road, all the way to the highway. And it's going to be in around $300,000 total. We have $250,000 from the state for parking lot and lighting, which the lighting is going to be on Duke Energy, and we'll be doing a lease on those. So really, it's just a parking lot at this point. So it's going to be around $300,000. That includes all the 4 inches of base, 6-inch base of gravel. You know, where we have the interior where we think trucks are going to be moving, we'll have 6 inches of gravel, 4 inches of gravel everywhere else for the main parking lot. We'll have to go down and, of course, put 6-inch all the way down, plus the base, 2-inch base of pavement. So between all that, that's $300,000, and I just got a quote for all inclusive, taking up the grass, everything, all in one price, around $300,000. So I'll be bringing it back to you. We'll have $250,000. The TDA has allocated for the event park this year in their budget $80,000. So we'll use $50,000 of that for the parking lot, and then have the extra $30,000 to do whatever. So the rec center, which is another direct grant, and I think we've had conversation a little bit about it, but what we want to do is go ahead and order the closed cell insulation and go ahead and spray it where, you know, there's no sense in putting HVAC in there unless we've got insulation. You know, just be a waste. So we're going to do new closed cell insulation. It's $95,000, so that would leave $55,000 to put in the units, and we'll put them along the back. And I think we've said we'll need 7 units total. So we hope that $55,000 will make it if they're 4-ton units apiece. So we're going to use our staff to do it, and the ductwork will be the collapsible ducting, fabric ducting, I think it's what they call it, and so they'll basically be in runs all the way across. anyway, we're working on that, but I would like to, maybe next month or in the next few days, I'm gonna get an updated quote from the closed cell installation. I'd like to go ahead and get that done. And then we'll work on the HVAC between now and June of next year.
I was gonna ask, who you doing close up? I mean,
Bobby got a company to give a quote, but, you know, that's been a couple months ago. So we're gonna have to have an updated quote for one, but, I wanted to wait till after the budget process and then we'll work it. But the last quote, they acted like they wouldn't go up too much. We're around 95. So. And I think that's about it. I think we've talked about everything else. So.
Okay, thank you. Moving on down to commissioner reports. Let's start with you.
I do have one thing. Somebody on the lake, about the lake cleanup, they were happy to have some done, but it's just like anything else that I find we do. They want more. I told them that they were asking what they could do, and I told them I didn't know. I talked to Kevin about it. I told them feel free to do some things, but it wasn't mine to tell them that they could do everything they wanted to do. So I don't know. They was wanting to get some of the wood, and I don't know if they were still wanting to pick up trash or not. I don't know, but I did have somebody, and I told them I would bring it up in this meeting. It's actually Mr. Fortner that lives. Does he live right there?
I think so.
Has his bait
There's
shop
a
and
bait
stuff.
shop,
And
yeah.
he said he could use the wood. Asked me again, which that's what led to the question before, was they asked what they could do. Some of them had asked about some things that they thought was the county, but who was that? Who owns that? It was another group owned the stuff to help drag trash and stuff to the.
Oh, it was the Lake Users Association. And,
Yeah. I told them I'd check back and see if they were allowed to use any of that. I didn't know. So, but if they want to clean up more.
They can use all the booms we have. We've got a boom thing that they can wrap around. And we had, you know, our crew went down there for about 6 hours or 7 hours that day, and some of them volunteered to use their boats, use their personal boats, and helped with it. And I only heard good things, but, you know, and I think it probably did go good, but, you know, you can't do it in one day. I mean, all of that, there's a lot of stuff there. So.
There's lots of stuff. And like the wood, I have no problem with somebody who can use the wood being able to get the wood. To me, that makes sense. If you can use it, get it. There shouldn't be a problem. I didn't know if you had to ask the TVA or not. You shouldn't have to ask them to help clean up their stuff.
Right.
But I don't know. But I mentioned it. And the other questions I had was, I did want us to check on the park fees. I had a few people ask me about the parking fees stuff, and I had one person specifically say, well, if they're going to enforce that, they need to enforce the alcohol and the dogs on the park. Because you're not, on the trails, you're not supposed to have pets. There's a sign as you walk up the trail, no pets allowed. And that if they're going to enforce that on us, then the parking permits, that they better enforce the others. That the alcohol, people going up the creek and floating down with coolers and stuff with it, and it is happening. I've watched it over. I told the man that it was illegal, and he told me to mind my business. So I was just trying to help him out. But that's all I've got right now.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have much, Mr. Chairman. I was going to mention the parking fees as well. Want us to stay on top of that. And then also the cemetery off Betts Branch. Just kind of want us to stay on top of that, make sure we don't let anything kind of slide off, you know, that we kind of forget about. So I know that's still legalese and a lot of stuff going on with that, I guess. And I think the only other thing I had, Mr. Chairman, and you had texted me, or we spoke a little bit about, and maybe all the commissioners, I believe, got an invitation to a landlord meeting on August 17th at 4 o'clock at the Fuller's, new family of their restaurant down there. That has to do with, from Foursquare, has to do with HUD properties. We're trying to find HUD housing, and I think that's kind of what it boils down to. Just not to mince and waste a lot of words. It just boils down to us trying to find and encourage landlords, maybe some real estate companies, to help us find HUD housing. And Foursquare has funded quite a bit off HUD housing, enough to where as the HUD housing shrinks and we lose that funding, that's part of our revenue to operate the organization. So, I mean, if it continues to go south and we continue to lose HUD housing at the rate we've been using it, Foursquare may even have to close as an organization because we're losing our funding. So it's the epidemic, I think, for all tourist areas and across this nation. Housing is it's an issue, and I think we had talked a little bit about it. It may work itself out. I think Mr. Truby, you had mentioned in some way it may end up working itself out in a few years. I don't know what's going to happen, but I want us to stay on top of that and the housing as well as with our housing committee. So I guess that's all I had, but I would encourage if any of you guys want to, I'll be there for sure, or I plan on being there for sure. So if you guys want to come to that meeting, certainly come and hear what they have to say. You'd be able to meet our new director and so on like that with the Foursquare. So that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
May I speak on the cemetery stuff? Did we ever do any check-in on what the law is with the state and the commission? We were wanting to see, because I know that was a question, because if what's going on now falls through, then we're back to square one again.
Right.
And one thing we wanted to check and see was what is exactly our responsibility on a perpetual cemetery. Is that perpetual cemetery, which is actually, the state helps start it up and everything, does it not? They go through the state to do that. So to me, we need some guidance on some of that.
I'll check back with that. I'll call the cemetery association myself.
Because that was one of our big things when we met with the private cemetery. They said that was sort of like a state thing. So.
Yeah.
I'll look into that and get back with you next week.
Okay. Good. Kevin?
I don't even know what I've done. No. I remember meeting with Avaya Health on the Zoom meeting, and it was pretty much, they talked about the opioid monies. That's kind of where a lot of the talk was geared toward. I guess trying not to, I think Kevin's mentioned this before, is like trying not to overlap, facilities or whatever, making sure you're using the money for its best available purpose or best purpose as you can. And it's pretty interesting to hear everybody talk, because they was all kind of wanting to collaborate and kind of make sure that our area is getting the best service and not just one county. So it was pretty good talk. So other than that, I hadn't really attended much. Fielded a bunch of phone calls about football and stuff like that. But I did want to bring up something. We'll bring it up new business or now. We can talk about it. I was at the rec department the other day. My kids are swimming, and I thought, boy, you'd think they'd have some food around this place. And there is none. I don't know what that looks like, or did we have it at one time, or like a little hot dog hamburger place would be a cool place to have something like that there to keep the people from having to leave, or even food trucks. I don't even know what that would look like, or if it's feasible, or then I'd said something about it, and somebody else talked about maybe like on ball game nights as well, like softball and baseball and stuff like that, that maybe food trucks could have a little area, maybe food trucks, vendors, something like that. I don't know.
Well,
We figured I'd toss it out there.
we've got some policy on that, don't we, Mr. King?
And that's what I knew we did, but I think sometimes the policy is for one thing, and then you end up needing to rearrange your policy to make it work. So, I don't know what to.
Well, for the pool, going back to my youth, they did have a concession stand where Jim's office is at one point with a window, there's 2 windows. And, then that went away, and then they had, vending machines, you know, where you could buy crackers or whatever. And then that kinda went away because
I
of the
think they're there
space.
now.
There's
Yeah.
not even a vending machine down there?
Well, they've got,
There's a drink machine.
machines outside.
I don't
But
think
not,
there's a.
but not inside. You know, they used to have it where, I call it, well, that place you went underneath the shelter there, and
Yeah.
everybody
Fresh
slipped
center.
and about killed themselves every time they went through there. When you know, it was back in the youth, but anyway, they had vending machines there with the snacks or whatever. But they moved the vending machines outside, and that's been that way 20 years, I guess, just with
I just thought it'd be
drinks. I've never, I've not seen it.
to have some kind of food there.
You could probably do that with, like, the pool, but the problem with, like, the sporting events and things, you've got private organizations, you know, like the Little League and that operate the concessions, and that's where they bring in their money, so you wouldn't want somebody to compete with that,
Right.
so.
And even with the pool, we'd wanna be making money off of providing the customers or something also. And that's where we went into the, part of the policy was like at the ball games, at the ball field, at the school, you had vendor up here doing one thing, it took away from the concession stand, but that's where the concessions would be.
Right.
But that, like at the pool, I'd like to see something that would help pay for the pool stuff.
Well, if you did open it up and do a request for proposal, and then open it up for everybody, say, you know, they'd have to be a certified truck or whatever, and you opened up and said, okay, well, we want the best option, and like, meaning by that, so much profit would be coming back to the county or whatever, you could do that. You could say, you know, we're requesting proposals, and then, accept the one that gets the biggest bang for the buck to go back to the pool, you know, whatever. If they made $1, you're gonna get 20 cents of it or whatever, you know.
So what do we
I don't
serve at our concession stands at like Little League games, baseball games? Are there? I've never even, I mean, I don't know if I've ever ate.
Snacks, drinks, they had Gatorades and drinks.
Yeah,
but
like hot dogs and hamburgers.
they used to have
Yeah, I don't know.
nachos, something, I thought they used to have hot dogs.
I don't even know.
But even at our concession stand at the rec park, if you do that, you gotta pre-do them, don't you, and bring them. They used to have them a long time ago, I thought, hot dogs, but laws have changed. But even with the pool, my opinion and my view on this stuff is a little different, because once you start that vendors and stuff, you're gonna have issues, because it'll be, it's just issues. But now if you do something, I wouldn't want to do a whole bunch of food at the pool, if it's me, because that's more trash, more out to have messes. Snacks, I remember the snack machine. Had your little tater chips and crackers and stuff like that. That seemed to be a little bit of money, but something like that's more what I would, and you don't want, I mean, if they have to go to town to get something to eat. If we got to make enough money for it to make it worth their while anyways, but you don't want to start the vending, well, you like, they get to do this, and so we had issues with that. So, I don't know, it could be issues again. Favoritism or something, it's always, if we were gonna do something like that, I would try to do something small that we did. But even that, then you got employee issues and vending machines sound good.
What about if you look into what kind of vending machines we could get up there? And I have to agree with that. Let's stick with the vending machines right now before we send out a request for proposal.
Okay.
And just see what we can get up there. Since Danny left Pepsi, maybe we can get Pepsi up there, I don't know.
We had a machine inside.
Y'all got
When I
one.
left, that was 5 years ago. There was one inside, and then Coke, I believe, had one outside. So there has been one on the inside, but it was in that little alcove.
It'd probably be better for the inside anyways, for
We had
vandalism and
issues
stuff.
when I was outside, with people breaking into it at night and
Yeah,
tearing it up.
right.
That's why they wouldn't put another one outside. They said, we'll put it inside. So if there's issues with stuff you put outside, it's gotta be,
How
something
much
to be
space
locked
would
up.
we have and how many vending machines would we need? They put one over at the post office, a vending machine.
that's a private,
Is that privately
yeah,
owned?
there's a guy that puts those out. He put that in over there.
That might be another way to go is, but then you're getting back into everybody else. Yeah, I mean, it's just
We used to have them at the courthouse also. We had a snack area for the court people to go down, and it was a private company that did it, back in.
Sometimes you can get a vending company to come in and do the whole line.
Yeah.
There's some of them do it.
I think we got paid something, I can't remember what it was, but
Usually
that's,
not a lot of money in it. For the,
yeah.
there's
but-
more headache than there are money a
But
lot of times.
to entertain his idea, if you would, sir, go ahead and take a look at it and see what you think is the better way to go, and then bring a proposal to us or whatever we want to do. If it's, what's in the other building, the rec building?
nothing. I don't know if
They had-
they have a
There
drink
was
machine.
Drink machines are in there,
Drink
a couple of drink
machines.
machines. We had a regular machine and a Gatorade machine when I was working in there.
Okay, but I think again, we're talking snacks.
I don't remember, I don't think there's ever been snacks in there, it was just
But,
drinks.
what I'm saying is, you can include both of those to make it more attractive for somebody who wants to do it. Okay,
I'm good.
okay,
That's it.
all right. Danny?
I
go
had,
ahead.
we had a library meeting, and it just talked a lot about their fundraising. They had a couple of donations, somebody donated $10,000, I think the Rotary Club gave them $5, so it's kind of getting started up. And a lot of discussion on how to start it, and they're talking about phasing it, and at some point they'll come in and probably talk about that, but that was about all that meeting was, and our broadband decided not to have a meeting because we're still waiting to hear from the great grants. They were 12 issued here this week, but we weren't in the first cut, but hopefully we'll be in the next. So we're still looking to hopefully be in the cut somewhere.
Tell me what,
Most, pretty much assured at least something coming for the county from that.
okay, but tell me what, the great grants, is it a revolving process, or how are you looking forward to?
The great grants state, right, yeah, and I forget what the total amount is. They've got a lot of money they're funding for rural broadband. You gotta have providers that apply, and we understand, I think we got Frontier and Zito and Boston West that are all applying. Now, if one applies, part of the reason we might be delayed is if somebody applies and they can challenge each other. So if one takes an area and somebody's already got it, there can be challenges, and that delays things. But it's kind of a long process, but there's a lot of funding out there, like I say, it's just,
$750 of a billion
yeah.
is what's in.
Is that all they?
And I think with our providers right now, they're looking at least 8 million, so.
Take one and get one.
And then I got with you, they did agree to meet and update the committee on the 25th of August, the
Oops,
broadband committee.
we had a meeting, than what Danny is talking about. We had a meeting with Julie Thorner and Leonard Winchester on this issue. And what they proposed to us, which sounded good to me, was that they would do two things. One is they would come in and update us on what they're doing and where we are and what's happening with the broadband issue in Swain County. The other part that they said that they would do is they would hold 2 public meetings, and that would give them an opportunity to answer the questions from the public. Because every time you have a meeting, broadband issue comes up, and they want to know why, with all of this money out there, we're not getting any of it. And so they want to make it sound like we don't know about it, or we're just not applying for it. And so I think if Leonard and Julie can come in and sit someplace here, wherever, invite the public in and let them ask the questions that they have, we'll get some more information out to the public. So, yeah, I had asked Danny to get with them and make sure that that was still on their agenda, and according to Danny, it still is. So we're looking at that. This is from a meeting, and it answers some of the questions we have as well. So take a look at that. Also, the state lottery, I got a packet. I don't know if anybody else did or not. Did anybody else get a packet from the state lottery? And it gives all of the information. And what I was going to do was give this to our clerk and let her have it in her office on her desk. So if any of you want to look at it, and you can come in and request it from her, look at it, get the information you want from it, give it back to her so the next person coming in can get it as well. I find it very interesting. They've been in business, which kind of surprised me, for 15 years already. And we need to be able to find out how we can get the money that's owed or should be owed to the county, our county. So that, and I'll give it to Cindy, and she can let you look at it and answer any questions you have. Or if you look at it and want some particular answers, call me. We'll find out how to get them for you. Okay? I think that's it for me tonight. It's getting past 8 o'clock, so everybody's getting sleepy. Do you need to take a break?
Oh, no, if we're getting close to the end.
Okay. Come on, please.
Speaking about the event park, thanks. For the event park, we have actually Southwestern Commission Area Agency on Aging is proud to announce that the senior celebration is back, and it's going to be better than ever. It says, celebrating the older adults of Cherokee, Clay, Graham, Haywood, Jackson, Macon, Swain counties, and the EBCI. Sign up with your local senior center, and it's going to be for seniors ages 60 and up, Friday, September the 30th from 10 o'clock until 2 o'clock at our event center, at our event park. So that was exciting news. They've been working on the planning process for that, so they're starting to use our facility up there and getting the senior program back as well. So
very good. Thank you very much. Tell us about the new director and the new board chair at the senior center.
Yeah, so State of Franklin has a new board chair, Sarah Jane Melton. She's actually over the aging, division of Southwestern Commission in Silva. She's also now the chair of State of Franklin. And then Lisa Loftus is the interim director for the State of Franklin currently. And so Ben and I are going to meet with them on the 4th of August just to kind of look at the different programming, and then we're going to talk about, specifically about the program they're offering, the transportation program. Roger and I have been communicating about that, as well, to try to get that back where it's more responsive to the citizens' needs in their community. So,
Okay, thank you. Anything else for the good of the order? New business? Anybody have anything they want to bring up at 20 after 8? No, 10 after 8, never mind. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion on the floor to adjourn this meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Carried unanimously. Thank you, gentlemen. Good job.